Cato the Younger. You've probably heard of him as the stubborn Stoic who died at Utica rather than live under Caesar. Generations of writers have celebrated him as the martyr of the Republic, the last defender of Roman liberty. But what if that story is backwards? What if Cato wasn't a conservative at all, but a radical? What if his obsession with morality, his attacks on compromise, and his rejection of Rome's traditions helped destroy the Republic he claimed to defend? Today, we're re-examining Cato and the Roman Republic's radical transformation, from farmers defending their land to plunderers tearing apart the world. Rome's earliest strength came from its family farmers. Fathers and sons who owned land fought for Rome and came back to their fields. That balance of duty and community was the mos maiorum, the way of the ancestor, a social contract that bound the Republic together. But the Punic Wars broke that world forever. Campaigns against Carthage dragged on for decades, wiping out an entire generation of young men. Their land was swallowed by wealthy elites who built massive slave estates. The Republic was hollowed out. The small farmer class collapsed, and in their place rose ruthless opportunists, men like Sulla, whose violence on the battlefield spilled into Roman politics. By the time Cato came of age, Rome wasn't a republic of farmers anymore. It was an oligarchy of plunderers. Into this world came Cato the Younger. His reputation was incorruptible. But in practice, his prosecutions often rested on thin evidence and moral outrage rather than fact. When he prosecuted Lucius Murena for bribery, Cicero mocked his severity and exposed how flimsy the case was. In the Catiline conspiracy, Caesar argued for exile. Cato demanded execution without trial and got his way. And when he defended men accused by Pompey, his efforts were weak and insincere. Justice wasn't the point. Displaying purity was. For Cato, compassion was weakness, compromise was betrayal, and the courtroom became a stage for moral theatre. Cato's philosophy made this even worse. Stoicism in itself wasn't destructive, but in his hands it became radical self-absorption. Where mos maiorum demanded duty to family, gods and people, Cato replaced it with personal virtue, stripped of obligation. It didn't matter if Rome burned, so long as Cato could say he had remained pure. That wasn't conservatism, that was extremism, a rejection of Rome's social contract, disguised as morality. Cato's faction, the Optimates, are often called Rome's conservatives. But they weren't conserving anything. They were revolutionaries against Rome's traditions. They thrived on plunder, slave estates and hoarded wealth. They blocked land reform, debt relief and citizenship rights, not out of fidelity to tradition, but to guard their own privilege. And they destroyed compromise. Catiline was denounced without solid evidence. Caesar's offer to give up his legions if he could run for consul in absentia was rejected. The Optimates wrapped themselves in the language of tradition while ripping the mos maiorum to shreds. Now compare Cato with Caesar. Caesar, painted by history as the tyrant, actually stood closer to the old Roman contract of duty and reciprocity. In the Catiline affair, he opposed executions, insisting Rome uphold its laws. When the Senate cornered him at the end of his Gallic command, he offered compromise. He'd disband his army if allowed to run for consul in absentia. Cato and the Optimates refused, leaving Caesar the choice of death or crossing the Rubicon. After victory, Caesar pardoned his enemies wholesale. Brutus, Cicero, Marcellus, Pompeians. Mercy became his strategy. He even extended citizenship to Gauls who fought with Rome, keeping alive the tradition that service bound men into the Republic. Cato and his allies rejected it. Cato's world was mercy denied, Caesar's was mercy extended. So why was Cato turned into a hero? Because power loves his story. Later elites romanticized Cato precisely because he rejected accountability. Psychopaths and dark triad personalities saw in him a mirror. No compassion, no compromise, just rigid self-interest disguised as virtue. His suicide at Utica was cast as noble, but really, it was the ultimate abdication of responsibility. Rome needed leadership. Cato gave it purity theatre. Cato the Younger wasn't the last conservative of the Republic. He was a radical, a man whose rigidity and moral posturing helped destroy the Republic he swore to defend. And Caesar? For all his ambition, he acted more in line with Rome's ancestral traditions: mercy, reciprocity, and the expansion of citizenship. Rome fell not because Caesar was merciful, but because Cato was merciless. If this made you feel uncomfortable, good, that was the point. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts with us.